In this video, we'll break down the 4 core strategies that every branding agency or creative agency worth its budget uses to leverage brand when building a business. Don't worry, no gatekeeping, no secret sauce, no behind closed doors stuff. If you're building a personal brand or building out your business's brand, then you'll get a lot of value from this video. But why listen to me, hey? Well, let's go to my horrible website and terrible photo. I've got some social proof if you want to check me out. Some recent clients, make.com, that was a good one. And career highlights. Hopefully that's enough clout to make you want to stick around. If not, no worries. But I'm also on a mission to give away the secrets and see what the internet does. Also, I've got no interest in wasting your time. So this is what we're going to cover. So literally me writing that, for instance, we're going to cover the 4 A's, which is association, affiliation, aspiration, and attribution, which I like to call it branding. Branding. The long A, kind of like a sheep, maybe. Oh God, who knows? It's Friday, whatever. Also, we are in color, baby. Right. Okay, so let's get into the video. So the first of the 4 A's, I would say the most relevant one is association. Now, let's do it for if you're a brand from a business perspective, and then we'll do personal after that. So for brand, if you think about association, the easiest way to leverage brand building or to leverage kind of when you're scaling out is to be associated with something, right? Let's say the really high level ones is obviously a verbiage. So you want to Google something, you want to Monzo something, great. Very hard. Probably no one will listen to this video is doing that. So great, but hard. Down from that, let's say you can be associated with an event. So let's say Guinness. And for me, at least, equals rugby. So if you go to the rugby or if you watch rugby, you want to drink a Guinness. If you go, let's say if you're American, it would probably be St. Paddy's. That would also equal Guinness. I'm going to spell lots of things wrong because this is live. So if you can be associated with something, let's say these are all cool, but let's say one I actually think is really better. Sorry, this is getting very booze chat already, isn't it? It is Friday. But for instance, after a hard week, working hard, shipping the work, you would go and have a beer. So what brands will do is they'll try and associate with an event, with an idea, with an association. If you're building a brand, can you attach yourself to something? If it's not a verb, could it be an event? Could it be like a thing? Maybe it's the problem. Yes, the problem you solve, but maybe it's stronger than that, bigger than that. Like it's endless. But your business, get out a piece of paper and think, what can I associate myself with? Even on the small micro scale, is it a certain widget that's done for a certain thing? Is it a problem? Is it a solution? Is it a way of thinking? That kind of thing. If you're building a personal brand, I'd say the easiest way to do it is be associated with one word. Now, let's give you an example of that. So Ali Abdaal, Dal, I think that's right. Maybe in the early days, he would have been definitely associated with productivity, just because he was doing all the productivity videos, he was doing all that stuff, right? Now, arguably, it's probably feel good. Is that hyphened? Who knows? The feel good productivity, that kind of ecosystem. Let's use another one. So I think a good one would be James Clear. So his word would be habits. Now, obviously, he's associated with good habits, but the problem he solves is bad habits. So maybe there's some variation on the lexicon of that. But if you can be known for solving one word or having one idea, let's say if it's Alex Hormozy, since we're on YouTube, Hormozy, his is probably, let's keep this going up here. I'm rattling through these papers. It's probably 100 million, right? So $100 million offer, $100 million lead, $100 million whatever. So if you can see, if you can harness yourself around an idea, let's say, or an event, or a word, or a verb, which is very hard to do, But all of these things, the reason why they're of value is because they are a behavior and a behavioral shift. So, like, let's say, for instance, go with me on this. So, say you're a SaaS company and you have a AI note taker. Yeah, let's use Danco, because I know off the top of my head he has a thing called, might be spelled, not spelled like this, don't know. I think it's spelled like Cortex. I haven't used it, but I'm sure it's good. So Cortex, if the easiest way that Danco could leverage building that, and kind of part of his personal branding, like you could argue that he's associated himself with writing as a thing. If he could associate Cortex with the behavior, which I think he's probably trying to do, of note taking, right? So then that was in the behavior. You'd wake up and instead of going to, I'm an Apple Notes guy, I have millions of hashtags, like 3,500 notes on my iPhone. I've never changed systems. It works for me. But like if he can change that behavior and then associate that with Cortex, even if it's for a minimum viable audience, like he can then have that network effect of people associate him, his brand, his personal brand with writing, and then in his ecosystem of products, you've got very specific products launched in that category. So Cortex is a natural jump for him. Like if, let's use someone, so for instance, if Hormozy bought out nose strips, it would be completely within his brand because he wears them all the time and harps on about them all the time. He's not associated with nose strips though, so he's associated with 100 million. Ooh, that's not that is it. He's not associated with that. He's associated with 100 million. So therefore, he would use. I guess his books would be in his ecosystem, and he probably has. I think he has a newsletter. I don't follow it. Sorry. Maybe it's like a 1 minute thing. 1 minute money. Maybe. Anyway, so you can see that makes sense. So in your ecosystem, if you have an idea, a word, or a verb that helps a behavioral shift that can be tagged or have like you sit under the lexicon of that, or top of mind during the action when they're bottom of the funnel or in your ecosystem or in the action, they think of you, really good. Okay, so next on the list, we're going to go for aspirational. Now, we all know, anybody thinks or knows about branding, they naturally say aspirational. Let's just say high performance athletes. It's the easiest thing that people like to articulate it because you're immediately going to think of Michael Jordan, you're immediately going to think of Usain Bolt. Things like that are really easy. Why though? Let's break it down. So the whole thing about aspirational, the reason why it has so much leverage, and there's a couple of things here. It's a very boring term, but it's called, and I'm going to spell it wrong, efficacy. Oh, I didn't. And that essentially means they have the why not me mantra, or the if they can, why can't I, or if they did it, so can I. So little ideas like this. So brand efficacy, the aspirational idea of it, if you had to like really distill that down, that goes down to one word, and that is hope. And you need to, if you're going the aspirational route, there needs to be a level of hope. So let's say every influencer that sells a course, there is a level of, well, it worked for me, I've climbed the mountain and I've mapped the things. All you have to do is follow these 10 steps, pay this amount of money, and you'll get it. Now that's hard to do because it often really isn't like that. You can't just buy shoes from Nike and play basketball as good as MJ. It doesn't work like that. But it's almost like a little piece of that story is relevant to you. My touch typing is awful. So how can we break that? How can we make that tactical for you? So tactical wise, let's do brand first. So brands like Whoop or anything that sponsored tennis, tennis brands, or let's say rally driving, they either want to be engineered, built, speed, time, precision, the best, let's say, high performance, high stress environs. Ooh, that's weird. Environs, that kind of things. So you would want to, if you want to have a brand where you're able to be quite aspirational and have hope and instill these brand efficacy statements like, if they can do it, so can I. If they can, why can't I? Why not me? These are all really powerful motivational statements that can unlock a lot of kind of energy and determination. For instance, not to linger too long on it, because I know you're getting bored already. I can hear it in your voice. It's me. It's because I'm in full color, isn't it? Look at this. Full color with all the most fluffiest jacket on I can find. So just do it for Nike is essentially, the reason why it's so wonderful is it's a call to action. It encapsulates the why not me, it encapsulates the if they can, why not I. It's brilliant, right? And it's really important. So for instance, having, let's say, let's just talk about hope on a lovely stage. So if you're Disney, let's say, despite all the woke side of things, but like, let's just actually try and straw man some of the stuff. Having really strong female animation leads, like I've got a 5-month-old daughter. It's, you want them to grow up in a world where they can see that they can do things and it's not just tied to the kitchen and patriarchy vibes. You don't maybe want to have everything sewing them as some kind of CEO boss where you don't have children, you just work until you're 45 because that's what it is. Maybe that's too far. Who knows? I have no opinion. Get out, backtrack. But it's representation. Let's say is the root word. Representation is the important thing here, and that gives people hope, and that's why when people see themselves in that person, and it's important if you're in that role to do that. If so, whether that's so in your personal brand, so maybe if you're aspirational, maybe you sell courses or you sell information or you do videos like this. I guess I'm trying to maybe with these videos and my co-founder at Sprint Depth, we're trying to we're aspirational about the future of design in this pessimistic, negative space. We just believe that it's not really about how to do it anymore. It's very much about what you do and who for. And we think that those ideas should be done very quickly and be iterating in the market in a sprint environment. So we think like 10-day sprints where we do a load of stuff. What do you think about this? Give it to a brand and they go off and validate it, specifically if they're scaling in Series B, or if they're right at the start bootstrapping. We have a few workshops to help uncover that. And we're optimistic, contrarianly optimistic, but there's some aspirational stuff in there. So if I could own the word, or if we could be associated with the word sprint or brand sprint, I know sprint existed before, but in this new context specifically, like speed running creative, I really like those. I really like those words. We use them a lot, and sprint feels very in our brand ecosystem and in our language and in our products and our taxonomy of products. Those would be the words we would own. Personally, in my own, so that would be from a business perspective. Let's talk about me. So let's talk about me. So my personal brand is Just an Idea, which is because I believe that ideas are the only thing that are left. You can see why I launch or co-found an agency called sprintdepth.com, because where we predominantly focus on ideas. So Just an Idea, it's a bit of a gift. I'm a graphic designer. I really like having that little gift. So I'm positioned in that. So I mostly talk about strategy and ideas, very similar to this video. And if I'm talking about speed and efficiency, then I'm talking in the tone of voice of Sprint Depth. So I'm aspirational that creativity is, just, you can learn it. It's just a muscle. And that's my aspirational thing. Now, I hope that some of these videos help break down some of those scary frameworks that used to be, gosh, I need a haircut, that used to be maybe behind closed doors or cost a lot of money. Like, I think those days are over. I think people just want to work with people that can maybe do it a bit faster than or a bit better than them. But I don't think there's any secret hidden things, or at least by the time, once I finally get all these videos out, there won't be. So anyway, moving on. So that would be a rough thing to talk about in terms of aspirational. So we've done association, aspiration. Okay, so next on the list would be affiliation. Now, everyone knows what an affiliate link is. So people that maybe, if you've got a smaller brand, so this is probably more actionable if you're starting out or a bit smaller rather than the big stuff. That if you have a little SaaS product, or if you have a little idea, or if you have a little course, or you have a little community, a little brand, even if you make soap, right? What kind of affiliate that with? So if you can get some kind of brand ambassador, or if you can find a streamer and then get them to advertise on that podcast, there is an affiliation aspect to that. So let's say Tim Ferriss. I don't know I never know how many S's or I's it is. Is it that or is it this? I think it's that. Sorry, Tim. Not that you'll ever watch this video. But Tim Ferriss, right? So his newsletter back in the day, I don't follow it anymore, but I did. His newsletter, he would say every Friday, was it Friday? Every Friday, if you want to receive 1, 2, 3 ideas that I think are cool, things that I've been chewing around on, things I've been playing around with that like a good tech, yeah? And then he would say, he'd talk about, I don't know, a mattress. So he'd talk about a pen, and then say he'd talk about a book, right? Because he was affiliated with those things, and you're almost porting the audience over to them because they recommend that thing, you're buying a little bit of their cred or a little bit of their audience, right? So if you're a small-time creator, let's say you're doing a business, so you want to affiliate with exactly those kind of things. Find people. Let's say what do you do? Let's say a SaaS productivity tool. No, that would probably be too much. Let's say you're doing an LLM or an agent. That's fucking hot, isn't it? So say you're building an AI agent or an LLM, large language. Oh, sorry. You would want to go and talk to, let's say, someone who's got 1,000 followers or 10,000 followers, in that range. And then you would want to be like, hey, cool, so we've got this thing. Can you demo it? Or can we tell a story where we get you to do this thing? Or can we write an episode or sponsor an episode? And around that episode, you do something cool, like you make it do something. You don't want to go to someone who's doing knitting and get them to do it, because it probably wouldn't work in their ecosystem. But if there is somebody who's maybe a bit techie, or they're about tutorials, or maybe productivity, depends on your space, what your ICPivity. It's hard to talk and type. Depends what your ICP is. I can't work that out for you. But who you can find to have an affiliate with it. Not just random people, yeah, because Amazon books and stuff is cool, but if you really want to have that thing, like there are literally jobs in the industry called head of brand partnerships. And their entire job is to go and find like really cool stories to tell and network effects to have. So when they collaborate with, when Pringles collaborated with Super Mario, which is a recent campaign. If you're watching this is March 2025. They have, hold on. Here we go, really fast, really fast, really fast. They've got a campaign coming out. I think, is it good? Unhealthy? But kids, they're appealing to people, nostalgia 90s. Can you see that? Yeah, so that brand partnership probably came out of the fact, obviously, yeah, it's a bit of a gift that you've got these tubes, and that's the tubes you have, and you have a Luigi and you have a Mario. Like, that's a really cool story. And then the question, suddenly you've got a little bit of a game. Monopoly coming in with McDonald's. Obviously, these are gigantic billion-dollar brands, like probably not relevant. But what can you do that's like a small version of that? Like that's cool. So in your business or in you, if it was a person, so that covers business. If it was personal, the easiest way to do that is if you want to port someone's audience, is podcast, or or be on their newsletter, or jump on a call with them, or do some. You maybe can do a bit of some guerrilla engagement farming, or for instance, let's say a very, very easy one is in your title and thumbnail on YouTube. People will put, like, if I'm talking about Alex Hormozy, the people I've mentioned, maybe I'll put that in the title, and then that would tell the algorithm to like show that to people in that farm. And if it was confirmed, then people would probably watch that. I don't know if I'll do that, but that would be the idea. So you're affiliating with people. So that would be how you do it for personal and for business. Okay, so the next one, the fourth and final A in the branding model, God, is attribution. Now, I wish it sounded nicer, but let me break it down. So this is where these two things are quite bound together. We know how I mentioned that personal branding and business branding, and then how you can maybe break them down. These two, this idea, I think, actually is where the merger happens, and that's where it becomes quite potent. So, gosh, I need a haircut. And I'm also losing light. Sorry, this is not a cool studio here. We're just in an attic. Sorry. Okay, so let's just say Zuckerberg, wow, it pre-does that. That's cool. Is it cool? Musk and Bezos. Is it the Z first, or is it that? Or is it that? No, it's not. Definitely not Soz, is it? So Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos, you naturally attribute Facebook's success, Tesla's success, maybe not now, and Amazon's success specifically to these three founders. And of course, they started it, they built it, they probably got it to the million, and then, but eventually, if you're building a company at scale, you have to hire. That becomes a thing. You have to scale. You have to get teams. Governing an idea at scale, you have to have go-to-markets in new markets that make sense. You have to have brand awareness. You have to have alignment. You have to have lots of stuff that gets people spend lots and lots of money on that is not relevant until you're at this size. You don't need brand strategy. If you're bootstrapping a business, just find a problem you can solve, find people that like it, and then build a product. Ask them what they would do, and then build around that, and then scale that. That would be how I'd do it. Similar to why we built the agency. Sprint debt. Like, people want it faster, they want it cheaper, and they want it more efficiently. They want to cut out all the bureaucracy. They don't want to work with these big agencies that steal all their money. They want to be fast, and they want to know who they're working with. So we are out in front of the brand. We are trying to leverage those words. We're giving a lot of value up front because we see an opportunity, and we validate that opportunity with the people we've worked with. And here we are. You're seeing it live on happening. So if you're watching this in 2 years, how are we doing? Let me know. Ugh, terrifying. So when it comes to attribution or attributed success, your brain doesn't want to take that big, expansive idea of having, okay, so who's their Crow manager? Okay, so who's their new business manager? Okay, so who's their brand partnership manager? It's just going to truncate that and like short circuit to, oh yeah, Facebook, yeah, it's all because of Mark Zuckerberg. And of course there is a point, but it's not always like that. He's not a majority shareholder in it. There are people he bought in. There are people in the early days of Facebook, he brought people in to help him scale. He wouldn't have done it without other people. No business was done as a one-man band, but we don't think about like that. The history will talk about Alexander the Great, but not talk about all the people that he led that then took the bullets, all the swords for him. There are like Winston Churchill, fantastic leader, and won the Second World War away and took it away. But I mean, he was actually on the front line sometimes. But he was leading from the strategy and the ideas, and people attribute that to success and strategy. But there were also people that had to do it. But we're not going to have almost a community notes on every single thing and be like, oh yeah, we didn't. Maybe they're trying to do that in society now, but be like, oh no, but there's also this person, this person, this person. Obviously, credit where credit's due, but in reality, it doesn't happen like that. But if people can see something you're doing over here and then attribute success, so if it's like X and then you, people will just do that, and that's what you want. Okay, you want people to, when they think of something, immediately think of you. Like, so if in your ecosystem the top of funnel ideas, if they think Facebook, the bottom of the funnel, like salient thing, top of mind, bottom of the funnel, they're going to think of Zuckerberg, right? There is a thing. I'm not in any way the business guy. I do brand-led business growth, but there is a thing called key man risk, which I'll be honest with you, at the start, I see that as leverage because, like Ogilvy, people wanted to work with Ogilvy. He built an agency around him because he was good at what he did, and he had a famous level of. He had credentials, but he also had clout, right? People wanted to work with Saatchi and Saatchi because of Saatchi, Charles Saatchi, being very fucking mental. People want to work with that. People wanted to go see the Beatles rather than just another folk band because they were the Beatles. Obviously, that's probably a terrible example. But like, you can't just a key man risk if you just want to build a business to sell. You want to try and eliminate all of that. If you want to read more on that, there's a book called The E-Myth Revisited. Brilliant book. Teaches you how to build a business in more of a kind of like operations SOP manner. You can learn a lot about maybe who you are and how you come into the business, whether you're a dreamer, a doer, or a delegator. Can really help yourself. But anyway, back to this. So key man risk, I think in the early days is positive. You need to build things that don't scale. You need to stand out. You need to be a founder in front of the thing. So how can you, if you're a founder or if you're building a brand, get in front of that, and then all the stuff behind it, or if it's, being very loud and very noisy and very persuasive / borderline aggressive occasionally, as long as it's like aggressive in the good way rather than in the Andrew Tate way. But like all of that stuff will then, all this, whatever you do back here will be almost absorbed into you here. And so that would be what I do. You can't really separate those two. You probably could if we go into it, but I don't want to. So those are the four. Let me write them out. So first off, we got association. We have aspiration. Whoa. We have affiliation. Oh. And we have attribution. God, it's so hard to type and spell. So those are the four. And if you've learned anything in this video, apart from what I look like in color, or the fluffiness on my jacket, or the fact that I need a haircut, or I keep looking over here because that's where the camera is, there is branding. B-R-anding. Cool. Oh. If you like that video, let me know. We have so many frameworks, like so many mental models, so many frameworks that will really help you guys. What do you need to learn? And we'll tell you, we'll help you. We'll give you our experience. You tell us.